And now for a new segment on Speaking of Spirits. Jesse and I have been working on a road trip series where we talk about the history and hauntings of towns across America. Enjoy.
Hello, Nightmare Roadshow. This is SOS, and I'm here with
Messy Jessie. We're on our way on the road.
Yes, we're on another Asphalt Encounter. Where are we headed to?
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. This place holds a dear place in my heart. We are going to Bath, Maine. Yes, you guys heard it right. Bath, like taking a bath. But the Mainians is what they are called. They say bathe. Bathe Maine. Crazy, right?
For the research, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous here.
Yeah, you froze a little bit, so you might want to
tell us about the history.
All right, so Bath is in I can't say it. I am so sorry. County, Maine, in the United States, obviously. Bath is included in the Brunswick Metropolitan. So it's kind of like Bath is like outside of Brunswick. So it's very close to the water. This is popular with tourists. It includes one city, 10 towns, and is drawn by the 19th century architecture. It is home to the Bath Iron Works and Heritage Days festivals, which I have heard in the past from my relatives. That is the best festival ever. It's held annually on the 4th of July weekend. So not only you get fireworks, but you have a festival, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
So it's commonly known as the City of Ships because of all the sailing ships that were built in Bath shipyards. Bath is part of the Portland South Portland Bedford Metropolitan Statistical Area. Let me try that again. So the history of Bath is really cool. They had the Abenaki Indians that called the area of Bath and the surrounding mouth of the Big River is what they called it. It was reference to the Kennebec River, which Samuel D. Champlain, he was an explorer in 1605. A Pompam colony was established in 1607, downstream together with Fort St. George. So the settlement failed due to like the harsh winter weather. And believe me, I could tell you, Maine does get very cold weather. You would think that Michigan is terrible, Maine as well, because of them being in that sound area, as you know, the cold weather coming in from the ocean. They can get pretty cold. This, the settlement failed, like I said. Lack of leadership. The colonists built the New World, first ocean-going vessel constructed by the English shipwrights. The Virginia of Satadonic, I can't say it, I'm sorry. It provided passage back to England. Most Bath, Maine was settled by travelers from Bath, England. So it's like a sister city to England.
Okay.
So the next settlement was about 1660 when the land was taken from the Indian Sycamore known as Robin Hood, incorporated as part of Georgetown in 1753. Bath was set off and incorporated as the town on February 17th, 1781, and is named by the postmaster, Dummer Sewall, after Bath in Somerset, England in 1840. So in 1844, the portion of the town was set off to create West Bath. On June 14th, 47, Bath was incorporated as a city and designated seat. The land was annexed from West Bath in 1855. So a little bit of how it was settled. So a lot of industries developed here in Bath, including lumber, iron, and brass, with a trade in ice and coal, which is surprising enough. The city and surrounding area is renowned for its shipbuilding, and at one point was a home to more than 200 shipbuilding firms.
Wow.
That is crazy to me.
Yeah.
The industry of this shipbuilding began in 1743 when Jonathan Philbrook and his sons built 2 vessels. Since that time, there has been roughly 5,000 vessels have been launched from Bath, which became the nation's 5th largest seaport by the mid-19th century. The clipper ships built in Bath sailed to ports around the world. The last commercial enterprise to build ships in the city was the Percy and Small Shipyard, which was acquired for preservation in 1971 by the Maine Maritime Museum, which, by the way, is the coolest museum ever. This was well known as a shipyard in the Bath Iron Works, which was founded in 1884 by Thomas Hyde. Hyde became the first firm general manager in 1888, built hundreds of wooden ships and vessels, and also warships for the U.S. Navy during World War II, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Bath Iron Works launched 1 new ship approximately every 17 days. That's how much ships they were dishing out of this area. Today, the shipyard is a main employer and currently operates as the division of General Dynamics Corporation. So they're still running today. Bath, Maine, it's kind of they had an anti-Catholic riot in 1854. An Irish Catholic church was burned. And if you look at, you can actually see pictures that was depicted of the burn of this church. The city is noted for Federal Greek revival and Italian architecture. There is a custom house. It's an 1858 custom house and post office designed by Ammi B. Young. Bath is also a sister city to Shikari, now Takasuru in Japan. So it's a sister city. So there was movie scenes like Message in a Bottle in 1999 and The Man Without a Face in 1993 were filmed in Bath as well. So if anybody remembers those, there were some scenes out of there. And then in 1915, Fred Cox is the owner of Hallett's Drugstore in the Front Street, purchased with the street clock, which is standing on the corner of Front and Center. Streets from Boston, where it was built by Seth Thomas Clock Company. 4 years earlier, it was moved to where it is now. Apparently, you can see this clock from the harbor. That's how big it is. And it's beautiful. It's still under the family ownership today. A lot of good old buildings to go and visit and shops. So, what did you find to do there in Bath?
The Maine Maritime Museum. It's located on a 20-acre campus on the banks of Kennebec. And I guess it's open all year, although May through October you can do daily lighthouse cruises, which is cool. And they have the Bath Ironworks Story Tour, which looks at modern day shipbuilding. So you can go in and, I guess, tour and look at how things have changed over the years. I think that would be really cool. You can learn about lobstering and enjoy lunch under a sculpture of a schooner called the Wyoming, which was the largest wooden sailing vessel built in North America. So, so they have a blacksmith shop, and they you can watch boats being constructed today. So I think that's pretty cool. And then you have, now I bet you know about this Seguin Island and Lighthouse.
Yes, much dear to my heart.
So you can go, I guess you can tour it. It's the tallest lighthouse in Maine, and it's one of the oldest in the United States.
Mm-hmm. And very beautiful.
It's beautiful, yes. And then you can view Maine's first ship. They did a reconstruction of the 1607 um, Virginia, I think it's called. Did you read about that?
I did not.
Yeah, so it's reconstructed, but it shows how the early craftsmanship of the ship, and I'd love to see it. I saw tours. They have public sailing and tours from July through October. I think an October sailing tour would be incredible with all the colors of the
Oh,
foliage,
it's
and then on the
yes.
ocean, that would be spectacular. Um, Oak Grove Cemetery. The So I didn't really find out a whole lot about the cemetery, but there's a review that had a lot of information, and it says the oldest headstone dates back to 1777. But there's mostly 19th century graves. There's a lot of mausoleums and monuments and statuary, so I think that was pretty cool.
A
I
lot of
love
history.
walking through cemeteries.
Oh yeah.
So that's, I mean, as far as things to do, it's going to be tied to the ocean. I mean, obviously. So it's not a real big town, so you're not going to have a ton of things. There's breweries and good restaurants and things like that there, but yeah, yeah.
It's really cool. It's really pretty. So,
I did find some reviews. Do you want me to do those now, or should we?
absolutely. Yeah, let's do.
Almost everybody loves it. Like, I didn't find really anything under a 3 star. Everybody loved it. They said it was there. It's just small town charm. People love the Heritage Days. It's a festival over the 4th of July. Um, and there's a lot of beautiful and preserved homes that are really quite old that date back to around 1800 and some earlier. There's a lot of dining and shopping and things like that. You can rent boats and kayaks and go on cruises and do all of those things. And I just think that's really cool. People love it. The only really 3 stars I get was really winners are terrible. But that's not the town's fault. It's like reviewing Pocatello and saying the winners are terrible. Yeah, we know that. Yeah, they're terrible. And Pocatello can't do anything about it. Summers are great. They're not very humid. The beaches and lakes are close. Fall's nice because you get to see the color. But it was a 3 star review because I thought that was just kind of bizarre. But thumbs up, I guess, on road clearing out there. They do a really good job. Everything plowed in the winter. So, hey,
Oh,
that's about it for the reviews. Yeah.
well,
You
I
have
found
hauntings, don't you?
I do. So, Bath itself is kind of a small community. And when I was looking, they're not that far from, different areas. So the main hauntings that I found in Bath, there's the Anderson Cemetery, which is one of the oldest cemeteries there in Bath, which is above the town.
Okay.
So resources say that when you visit this Anderson Cemetery, and it is located in Windham, so it's a little bit above Bath, but not that far. It's like 5 miles away, like going across town. The cemetery opened sometime in the 1700s and is a hot spot for paranormal activity. If you are brave enough to visit, you can see one of the full-bodied apparitions that moves about the cemetery. And there's a male malevolent spirit hangs out in this area and is aggressive to visitors. You might capture an orb or two in a photo or hear voices, spooky knocking coming from the Anderson family crypt. One of the most terrifying paranormal encounters is when you return to a parking area where you left your car. You may find your car no longer where you parked it.
Really?
Yes.
What?
And
That's
that's
crazy.
what I thought. I was like, if that doesn't scare you, then seeing your car lock and unlock on its own might make you jump a little bit and then speed away. So just be careful. Don't have an unwanted passenger traveling with you.
Right? Smudge your car before you get in it and after you leave it.
So
Wow.
interesting enough, we're going to talk about the Sanquin Island Light Station. And this is near and dear to my heart, as I mentioned before. There is 3 different hauntings apparently with this area. The story is one of the legend and has been very difficult to find documentation on it, but it is perhaps one of the, tragic incidences that occurred on the island. So, according to a legend, around the 1800s, a caretaker or a keeper of the beacon, newly married, brought his wife out with him to tend the light. We know how this goes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not used to the isolation on the island, she became, bored and depressed. Like, what is there? It's a beautiful island. You can only do so much, right? So she was constantly complaining about not having anything to do. There was no society to be part of. And so he thought, maybe I'll just go buy her, off of boredom, go and buy her a piano. So he bought her a piano, brought it to the island before the winter set in. He proudly, presented it to her and said, "Here you go, honey, play the piano." Um, and it just apparently backfired. So she was
Uh-oh.
delighted, but could not play without sheet music. Okay, so he did buy her a bunch, and there's only one song coming from the piano that she was said to play, and it was a simple Scott Joplin tune. I'm not sure. I didn't look to see what that one is. So if any of our listeners, know what that is,
Hmm.
send it to us. Soon after, the island was icebound. There was no deliveries coming in and out. She continually played her piano with the same song over and over and
Oh.
over.
Oh.
So, isolation, constantly playing the same tune finally drove him nuts.
Yeah.
So
Oh my
he
God.
took an axe, and this reminds me so much of The Shining. He
Oh
took an
no.
axe and chopped the piano to bits. When she bitterly complained about it, he turned and attacked her. Chopped her up with the axe.
Oh
Realizing what he then killed himself. So during
gosh.
foggy nights on the Kennebec River, people and sources say that you can hear a ghost of the lighthouse keepers playing her ghostly tune on her phantom piano out on the waves on calm evenings. Many
Wow.
mariners and former keepers claim to have some piano tune playing over the waters. So that's kind of eerie. I thought that was so eerie.
Yeah.
The second one we're talking about is the first keeper, Major Count John Porlowski. So I'm probably slandering his name a little bit. He was a count from Hungarian nobility. He brought back many generations. He was born in France, fought with the French troops during the American Revolutionary War. He settled in Dresden, Maine, and then as one of the town clerks for 25 years. He then applied to be a keeper of the light on the island in 1898. His meager salary was unfit for living off, him coming from nobility, right? And he
Right.
constantly requested increase in his salary, but always denied. His brother-in-law, Christopher Pushart, served as his assistant, and they brought his wife briefly to the island, which we know how that went at the beginning. Um, there were the first child, Jane, who was born there. However, Pushart didn't get to his family to stay as relations strained between the two men. So this guy served 8 years. He died penniless on the island. For years after, some say his ghost had haunted the keepers who came after him. They have reported seeing sightings of they named old captain, quote unquote, climbing the towers of the staircase. There was one incident after the lighthouse was automated in 1985 when the supervisor change of crew to move the furniture reported months later that the old captain's ghost awoke him in the middle of the night, dressed in oilskins, shaking the bed. The entity asked him not to take the furniture away and to leave his home alone. Convinced he was, just simply dreaming, the supervisor decided to oblige the captain's ghost and move the furniture, or did not want to oblige the captain's ghost. And he moved the furniture anyway because he thought he was just deep sleeping. The next day, all the furniture had been loaded on the boat, which was being lowered into the water. Suddenly, the cable snapped, causing the ship and all its contents to spill onto the rockways below, smashing everything to bits.
Oh boy.
So, yeah.
Mm.
Over the years, a lot of the volunteers who signed to help keep the lighthouse going are warned about the strange paranormal events. There's been, shelves tossed onto the floor, cold spots, tools disappearing, and, hearing the old captain coughing or smelling smoke. And then, of course, hearing the piano. There's also been reports of like a young girl who died on the island. Her parents buried her near the generator house for somewhere close to the property between the lighthouse and the foghorn. She has been witnessed by many running playful, just running playful in the gardens, laughing, smiling, and sometimes coughing. So, yeah.
Wow.
Some people, so a lot of stuff on that island, which I thought was really interesting. But that's it.
Sounds fascinating. I'd love to see it. Have you been there?
I have not. So my grandfather was born in that lighthouse.
So cool.
It used to have like a dirt floor. My grandfather said that his mom, he was born breached when he came out, and they thought he was dead. And so to keep him warm, to try to revive him, they put him on the stove, which was really interesting. And he came to life after the doctors worked on him and everything. But yeah, it was pretty good. My grandfather unfortunately passed away around when my grandpa was like 5 years old to my great grandpa. And he went fishing, wore the wrong boots, and the boat sank. And he drowned. And my grandpa, he found his own father washed up ashore about 2 weeks later.
Wow.
So it's crazy. Yeah. It's
crazy.
That's
nuts.
And that's when my grandma had to move out of the lighthouse because of that. She couldn't, women were not allowed back in those days to be keepers of the house.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they didn't know anything but
sad but cool.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or going insane.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so was that it for the paranormal stuff?
Yeah, that's
I
it
did
for
find
the
3
paranormal
legends.
Stuff.
Okay.
I'm happy.
There is a giant sea serpent that is reportedly first spotted in we're having some connectivity issues, and I don't know
I know,
what's
that's
happening
what I thought
here.
too.
Yeah, but she was first seen, Cassie was first seen in 1779, and she's been seen by many, many sailors since then. She's 100 feet long. Others say that she's like 45 feet long, but she's big, she's long. And she has like an elongated brontosaurus-like neck, like Nessie.
Like the Nessie.
And then a black coat like a seal or a flounder. And there's a cryptozoologist, her name is Lauren Coleman, has cat animals up there. And so she's, the last sighting seems to be somewhere around 1958. But I don't know. It's part of the lore up there. I think it's pretty cool. Let's see. I don't know what's going on with connectivity.
Without lures.
No. And then it's called the Devil's Footprint. And according to a New England website, there's a crew of yesteryear construction workers in Manchester who are trying to move this huge boulder. And it was about the size of a doghouse, which is just huge. I mean, it's not going to budge, and one of the construction workers climbed up on the rock and swore he'd sell his soul to the devil if the rock could be moved. The next day, the rock was moved and the construction worker had disappeared. So they get to the site, the rock is gone, the dude is gone, or the rock is moved, and all that was left as evidence of the deal were some strange indentations in the rock. And some people said it looks like a foot and it's reddish in color, and so they made it the devil's footprint. And the guy was never seen again.
Yeah, never sell your soul to the devil, y'all. Please don't.
No, and it's right next to, if you want to see it for yourself, the big boulder is next to the North Manchester Meeting House, constructed in 1793. And then that has part of the walls that ring, that apparently looks out over a cemetery, which is haunted, and it could be that one you were talking about. I'm not sure. And then the last legend I found was ladies in red and white walking the beaches at night. So,
red and white.
No. So they're fashionably dressed, and the woman in white is said to live in Ireland, and a benevolent lighthouse. She's got all this light that emanates around her. So, and she warns seafaring people of danger. Okay, so she's got this light, and if you see her, then there's danger present. And so, and then at Pemaquid Point Light, there's the ghost of a woman who appears shivering and drenched and dressed in a red shawl. And she is seen to try to warm herself by the heart of the lightkeeper's fire or lighthouse, which is now the Fisherman's Museum. Observers say that she could be one of the souls that lost her lives in the treacherous rocks below that have caused so many shipwrecks up there. So, yeah. So those are the local lore of the area.
Yeah, and it's very rocky. People don't understand that there is some beaches, but it's very rough seas over there from what I was reading. Perfect for lobsters, may I add.
What did you find in laws?
Oh gosh. So there's so many, and I picked like the 5 that I thought were pretty funny. So gambling is not allowed in Bidford Airport. So if those of you don't know where Bidford is, I don't either. I didn't look, but it is in Maine. I think it's around Portland.
Okay.
Gambling is fun in moderation, but do not try to do it in the Bidford Airport. I don't know why people are gambling in the airport anyway. An article.
Well, people do it in Vegas, so why not, right?
True.
Sorry.
True. No, you're right. The code of ordinance forbids engaging in behavior that causes a nuisance, including gambling, disorderly behavior, and drunken behavior. So I guess that means we're waiting for a flight. We can't go and get drunk at the bar before the flight.
Dang it. Okay.
We're ruined. So my favorite place to eat, if we had one around here, I'd probably be fat all day long. Parking in front of a Dunkin' Donuts in South Berwick is prohibited. Mainers love their Dunkin' Donuts. So people who, work on ships and stuff, a lot. In fact, there are more than 150 locations in the state of Maine of Dunkin' Donuts. But if you're trying to get your morning Dunkin' fix in South Berwick, don't park in front of the store. Just don't do it.
Is that where Dunkin' came from?
I did not look that up. It's interesting. I'll have to find that out.
Fascinating that they have so many of them. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, wow, they like it. Apparently, Starbucks doesn't have nothing on them over there. Advertising is illegal in Wells Cemetery. So folks in Wells, Maine take the upkeep of their cemeteries very seriously. As such, different city codes prohibiting and littering in cemeteries, which people shouldn't be doing anyway. Operating snowmobiles, trail bikes, and lichen cemeteries, and removing a person's remains. I'm wondering who did that. I don't want to know. Do not attempt to catch a lobster barehanded is a violation. Maine is famous for their lobster and their lobster dishes. I'm getting hungry just talking about this. But don't try to catch them with your hands. So,
wow.
And
Yeah.
then, Maine's laws regarding lobster are its place to protect population, and you may get in trouble for trying to do it. Plus, the water is super cold, y'all. Don't be going in there.
Yeah, it's real cold. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is the laws of Maine.
Well, very cool. I'm glad we went to the East Coast, the upper East Coast. Yeah. It's gorgeous.
And it's beautiful in the fall, like you said. Matter of fact, the trees are turning right now over there. And
yeah, we went for a walk yesterday, Jesse, you and I, and some others on the Nightmare Road. The trees turning here. It seems early to me.
Yep, that just means early
maybe not.
winter.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. It's crazy how the summer flew by.
It did. It was like, boof, here and gone. So, yep. All right. We hope that you guys like this episode of Asphalt Encounters, and we'll catch you next week with another location. Bye.
Woohoo! I'm excited. Where are we going to go? Bye.